Why being self-aware is essential for pleasure, health, and growth. Want to make better decisions, be more influential, be a better leader, and be happier? So the most crucial muscle you need to build is self-awareness. It's what will keep you focused on becoming the greatest leader you can be and the best version of yourself. Self-awareness, what is it? This definition was offered by psychologists Shelley Duvall and Robert Wickland. Self-awareness is the capacity to concentrate on oneself and determine whether or not one's behaviors, ideas, or emotions are consistent with one's internal standards. You can control your emotions, match your actions with your ideals, and accurately assess how other people see you if you have a high level of self-awareness. Simply put, people with high levels of self-awareness are able to analyze their behaviors, emotions, and ideas from a distance. It's a unique talent because many of us perceive our circumstances based solely on our emotions. Being self-aware is crucial for leaders because it enables them to evaluate their progress and effectiveness and alter their course as needed. There are two different levels of self-awareness. Public and private self-awareness are two separate types. Public self-awareness, being conscious of our potential public personas. We are more likely to follow social standards and act in ways that are acceptable in society because of this consciousness. Although this kind of awareness has advantages, it also carries the risk of overt self-consciousness. People with high levels of this feature may worry excessively about what other people think of them. Private self-awareness, being able to observe and consider one's inner state. Private self-aware people are introspective and approach their emotions and responses with interest. For instance, you might catch yourself tensing up as you get ready for a crucial meeting. Private self-awareness could look like seeing your physical symptoms and appropriately attributing them to your meeting nervousness. We become reluctant to disclose certain aspects of ourselves as self-awareness turns into self-consciousness. We create a persona that is untruthful. What makes self-awareness so crucial? The origins of self-awareness have been studied by the Oric Group. According to their research, we can better understand our values, ideas, feelings, actions, strengths, and shortcomings by taking a close look at ourselves. We are conscious of the impact we have on other people. According to Oric's studies, those who are self-aware are happier and have stronger interpersonal interactions. Along with greater professional happiness, they also feel more in control of their personal and social lives. We may see how others perceive us when we turn our gaze outward. People who are conscious of how others perceive them are more likely to be sympathetic toward others. Leaders are more inclined to empower, include, and recognize others if their opinion of themselves is consistent with that of others. The advantages of self-awareness. It empowers us to have a say in how things turn out. It enables us to view things from a variety of angles. It extricates us from our biases and presumptions. It facilitates the development of stronger bonds between people. It improves our capacity to control our emotions. It lessens tension. It improves our mood. What causes the lack of self-awareness? Self-awareness is a common theme in today's leadership terminology. Even though many leaders would boast about their self-awareness, barely 10 to 15% of people meet the requirements. Many of us try to ignore or repress our emotions since we were taught as children not to display them. That doesn't work out too well for us when we're feeling bad. Either we externalize them and blame, minimize, or bully others, or we internalize them and experience feelings of rage, bitterness, melancholy, and resignation. Self-awareness issues can be a big barrier for leaders. According to a research by Adam D. Galinsky and colleagues at Northwestern's Kellogg School of Management, CEOs frequently gain confidence and self-assurance as they move up the corporate ladder. The drawback is that they tend to grow more egocentric and less open to other people's viewpoints. Researchers from Canada examined the brain activity of those in positions of authority in a different study. They discovered physiological data that led them to the conclusion that as power rises, empathy declines. They lose the capacity to take into account the wants and viewpoints of others. Fundamentally, These leaders believe they don't need to change and instead demand that everyone else change. How can I tell if I'm self-aware? If you fall short of the 15% to 20% self-awareness gut, don't give up. The Im Center contains 12 multiple-choice questions that will assess your level of self-awareness and suggest ways for you to increase it if you want to know how self-aware you are. The assessment was created by neurolinguistic trainer and life coach Mike Bundrant and is based on research. You may find an excellent tool on the VIA website to help you determine your dominant strengths called the Values in Action Inventory of Strengths. VIA is. It evaluates your responses in 6 major categories, totaling 24 strengths. After completing the survey, you'll receive a report listing your top 5 talents and suggestions for how to start utilizing them. How to develop greater self-awareness? Picture yourself. Think of the best possible version of yourself. Our ideal selves speak to our skills, abilities, accomplishments that we wish to achieve and reflect our ambitions, dreams, and aspirations. Higgins, 1987, Marcus and Nurius, 1986. You can utilize this idealized version of yourself to keep going forward and avoid being sidetracked by setbacks and other barriers as you lean into your talents to improve yourself. Ask the what questions. Self-reflection is a fundamental component of self-awareness. But according to the OIRI group, most people approach reflection incorrectly. Problematically, we pose the incorrect queries to ourselves. We pose the question why? In an effort to settle internal conflict. We don't have access to our unconscious minds, so there is no way to respond to that question. Instead, we come up with improbable, maybe incorrect responses. The why inquiry poses a risk because it can lead us astray into our negative thinking. We concentrate on our flaws and insecurities. Take Joan, a brand new junior executive who struggles to speak up in meetings. She might justify her actions to herself by saying, "I'm too low on the corporate food chain to participate in meetings, so I keep quiet. I won't get any traction with anyone." When we analyze all the variables impacting a specific outcome, we are in an objective and open place since we have asked the what question. For instance, we could ask, why don't I speak out at meetings? Instead of, what were the social dynamics in the space? What bodily sensations did I have at the time? What transpired that made me revert to my old narrative of not being good enough? What can I do to get over my shyness to speak up? With the use of reflection, we can examine our actions and beliefs for what they truly are. With self-awareness, we may look at ingrained habits and unhelpful narratives before letting go and moving on. The right questions enable us to make decisions that result in various outcomes. As a result of realizing that she has an opportunity to solve her problem, Joan makes a strategy. In order to feel more sure about her ability to contribute, she will learn more about the objectives and agenda of a forthcoming meeting. Instead of obsessing over what she thinks other people are thinking about her, she will actively listen for cues to offer insightful questions that advance the conversation. She will recognize the feeling she is experiencing at the time and decide not to let it overpower her, thanks to her increased awareness of the clues her body is providing her that indicate fear and worry, a significant step toward self-awareness.